Hey everybody, this is always the funky beginning of every webinar ever, where we try to change something on our website last second and then finally get everything set up so you get that really funky beginning, which is what you're seeing right now. And I'm actually out in my garage where I have all my fitness stuff. So see, like, in case you didn't think I was legit, all my fitness stuff and even my notes. So welcome. Make sure that you drop a line in when you get here and you tell me who you are and where you're from so that I know who I'm talking to. I have been, y'all, so excited about this webinar. I usually do them in my office, but it was so, like, I was thinking this morning when I was in my garage working out, I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? If I'm gonna do a fitness webinar, I am going to get in like where I do my workouts and I'm gonna wear my fitness apparel. And this is gonna be just the best webinar you've ever been to. So do I care that the lighting's not perfect? Not at all. Do I care that, you know, my notes are kind of like on 8 different pages because I've been writing down all the things I'm excited about for a week? I don't care. What I am so excited about tonight is to talk to you about the 4 reasons that you are not losing weight and how to fix it for good. I know that is a bold claim. It is. It is a huge claim. But here's the deal. It is a legitimate claim because there are things that you are doing that sabotage you. And I'm not talking about the stuff you all know about. I'm not talking about going and getting potato chips out of the cabinet instead of carrots. I'm not talking about sleeping in the morning instead of getting up and walking on the treadmill. That is not the stuff that I'm talking about. I'm talking about 4 things that you have never even thought of. Hello, Joanna's here. I think I saw Victoria maybe chimed in there. Good to see you guys. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and make sure you share this. Go ahead and share this on your page so that people can see it and join us. Here's the deal. I'm going to leave up the replay, but I'm only going to leave the replay up here on Facebook for about 24 hours because I've got a lot of cool stuff on my webpage. So I'm going to shift the replay link over to my webpage after a while. And so the replay you will absolutely have the replay for longer than 24 hours. However, on Facebook, it's only going to stay up for about 24 hours. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Mary. Anybody else with an airy last name want to jump on? We're on a rhyming kick. I like it. So that's what's going on. That's what's going down. So if you share it and someone contacts you later, they're like, it says you shared something and now it's down. Tell them, oh, no worries. I've got some links for you. And by the way, those links are already in the description, and I'll even have more links coming up. I'll be sharing things all over the place. So if you're not already following me on Facebook and Instagram, I'm all over the Instagram because y'all, I'm a visual learner, so I love Instagram. If you're not following me over there, I'm at Gretchen Gegg. You cannot miss me. I'll be putting stuff up about this. So stick around till the end because I'm really excited to talk to you about the free wellness bundle that I have for you. Also, I'm going to be giving some discount codes for some of my programs at the end of this. So just hang out and hang out till the end so that you get that information. And again, if you have to go, I understand. Just come back and pick up where you left off later on. Maybe make a note of the minute because I hate it when I'm like going through an old live video. I'm like, I've seen this part, but I haven't seen this part. So make a note of when you leave. So I really do want your undivided attention because this is going to be stuff you're going to want to take notes over. So if you haven't already, go grab a piece of paper, I don't know, anything, pencil, pen, grab that. I am really well known for writing on the back of envelopes. So don't leave your mail sitting around my kitchen for too long or I will definitely write all over the back of your envelope. Probably brilliant things. You're welcome, but that's it. So let me tell you who I am. So while you're grabbing that, listen, I always like to kind of qualify myself when I go into a webinar because I am an educator. I actually have a ton of experience in education. I was a college professor for 9.5 years before I decided, like, hey, I'm gonna take my education to the streets, AKA Facebook apparently is the streets now. But that's what I did in my past life. So I always want to know, like, okay, why should I listen to you? So that's what I'm gonna tell you right now. So I have obviously a lot of experience in education. I was teaching health and kinesiology, so the science of movement, right? I was teaching the stuff that I'm all about. And I'm also a personal trainer. I have been for a very long time. Group fitness instructor, I have been for a very long time. I can still remember, y'all, before I was ever a group fitness instructor, like I just love fitness so much. And I love group fitness. That is my jam. If that is your jam, throw a like up. If it's not your jam, groan. I can't hear you anyway, that's fine. So group fitness was my jam. I can remember, perfect timing. I just saw my mom chime on. Going to aerobics classes with my mom when I was a kid. And does anybody remember this, or is this gonna just make me sound really old? Before the steps, like this is why I'm in the garage, right? All my convenient stuff. These kind of steps, like with the risers that you take off and you put on, you had to build your own wooden step. Does anybody remember like the DIY, like build this thing? Also like what, 10, 11 inch steps? Hello, wonder why the knee replacement industry is so huge. Anyway, I remember my dad made me and my sister little like 1 inch steps. I would go to step aerobics as a tiny child. I have recovered a lot from my group exercise, so I will never make you step on a step like that. But I found a love and a passion for that. And when I combine that with my passion for other people, I'm on fire, if you can't already tell. But I've been in, the fitness industry as a professional, and I am an enjoyer for a very long time. Currently, I have my own online courses, and I also present both. I present nationally at fitness conferences, and I also present at conferences that have fitness as a component of it. So for example, there's one conference that I'll be presenting at for the third year, Mom Mastery Live. And it's in San Diego. I'm really excited because it's 3 days this year. So I present the morning yoga, even though it's a conference about motherhood and transformation and development. I go and I do yoga for things like that. So that's what I do. When I was teaching though at Texas A&M University, where I was a professor, whoop, giga Maggies, I was so blessed to come in contact with so many people and start to see how some of the things that I had preached for a really long time in the group fitness industry didn't really happen with the people that weren't already coming to the gym. They didn't really happen with those people who behavior change really needed to happen. So y'all, every semester, I had about 400 students in all the classes that I taught. Like I was teaching faculty. I was not research faculty. I was teaching faculty. So about 400 students, that's 800 students a year. I taught for 9.5 years. So rough math, that takes us to what, 7,600? Did I do good math or a bad math? Anybody out there a math major know what I'm talking about? Those are just the students that came through my program that I was teaching, and I was teaching health, wellness, behavior change. I was teaching that kind of stuff. And so I had a lot of eye-opening experiences in there, not to mention the people that I came in contact with outside of that, the group fitness classes I taught, the fitness instructor training that I taught, the conferences that I would go to and present, the people that I would personal train. So this, suffice it to say, this is not information that I just think is really cool. This is information that has taken me probably 20 years to really nail down and learn, and not only that, but learn how to teach it in a way that makes sense. So we're gonna go through these 4 things, and I want you to just get down, get dirty, get this information down, but don't hesitate to ask a question. Don't hesitate to ask a question. So let's jump right into it. Are y'all ready? Is everybody excited? Does everybody have something to write with? I want to know if someone's ready, if we're going to do this thing together, if we are going to just nail these 4 reasons that we're not losing weight and what to do about it. I promise I'm not going to talk to you about carrots too much, okay? It's not really that kind of thing. So I think you're going to love this. Okay, number 1 is you're focusing on the physical. Number 1 is you're focusing on the physical. Now, there is a physical component, obviously. Obviously, there's a physical component, especially if we're talking about losing weight, right? And we can get into all that, why that's not like the most important thing to focus on, but that's not why we're here. We're focusing on the physical too much. And what we don't realize is, first of all, even if we just focus on the physical, do you realize that physical health, right? Our physical health has 4 components, 4 pillars. There are 4 things that are important. So even if you are focusing on the physical, tell me if you're focusing equally on all 4 of these things. Your diet, right? And we'll get to something about that in a minute. Your physical activity. Notice I didn't say, you have to get a certain type. In fact, this is a good little segue to the fact that physical activity, you guys know you just need to accumulate 150 minutes of moderate a week. That's not that hard, but make sure you're reaching it. Then third is sleep. Are you averaging out 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night? That's a biggie. That one alone might be the reason you're not losing weight. And that's still not even what I want to talk about right now. And then the last one is your perceived stress level. So not whether or not you're under stress, right? How are you perceiving stress? Are you looking at stress as a personal attack and things that happen to you and you have no control over it? Or are you looking at stress as like, oh, okay, this thing has happened for a reason. It's motivating me to make a change. Stress isn't a bad thing. So first of all, maybe focusing on the physical, we shouldn't just focus on that. But if we do focus on that, are you focusing on all 4 of those things? I want to know if something in those 4 is lacking more than the others for you. And then I want to open your eyes a little bit, because health is actually comprised of 8 different components of wellness. You're like, health and wellness. So here's where I'm going with this. Health is like your state of being right now. Are you sick or are you healthy? Wellness is like the process of getting us to that point. All the things that we should focus on. So if you're just focusing on the physical, what you don't realize is that all of these other 7 things that are interconnected may be having a negative impact on that physical. So if you're focusing on all 4 of those pillars and you're not seeing changes in the areas that you want to see the change, then maybe you need to focus on one of the other ones. So let me give them to you. Social wellness. Are you connecting with those around you in a positive way? Not like how many likes you have on social media, but your true connection. Emotional or mental wellness. So are you, suffering from depression, anxiety? Do you find yourself in a depressed or anxious state? It doesn't have to be diagnosed. We could even slide that perceived stress over into this category. Intellectual wellness. Are you stimulating your brain? Y'all, I am always enrolled in personal development programs or online courses. In fact, I'm a mentor, and I'll talk about my mentor, some of my mentoring here in a little bit, but I'm a mentor, and that alone inspires me to continue working on my intellectual development or my personal development, right? Spiritual wellness, right? And we're not going to go down the religion road here, but what's your spiritual life like? Do you meditate? Do you spend quiet time with your higher power? How are you spending that time? Do you have some kind of spiritual connection, or do you feel a little out of touch in that realm? And I feel like this one, while it can be a lot of educators, they don't want to touch it, they don't want to offend anybody. Y'all, I'm not like that. I'm a God girl. That's my thing. I delve into the Bible, but that doesn't have to be your thing. But here's the deal. You know very well when you're out of touch on that spiritual path. It's actually something I really don't even have to explain, because you feel like you need guidance. And we've all been there. Even let's say you go to church every Sunday, or synagogue, or you go to the mosque, wherever you're going, you hit that point when you're like, I need guidance. Okay, I'm here, but I'm not really here. So how is your spiritual wellness doing? Occupational wellness. You would not believe how many people in an unhappy job, when they're in an unhappy job, gain weight, right? It's one of those things I'm here at work, I have to be here. My only reprieve is lunch, so I'm gonna treat myself. That's their thing, right? So are you happy with your occupation or your calling, right? It doesn't have to be where you work. Do you have an occupation? Personally, y'all heard me using my old job teaching in past tense. It's not that I didn't love it. I found a much higher calling. Like I truly believe I am called to work with women, and I believe even more so mothers who are struggling in this health and fitness arena, because as soon as I dipped my toe into that pond, I knew how hard it was, right? I have a whole story I can share with you sometime, not going there today, but y'all, I had some big things happen that pulled me up out of postpartum depression, and I'm never looking back. Environmental wellness. So not just like, obviously environmental as far as what are we doing for our environment, our world? Are we perpetuating things? Do we have that 7 generations mindset? But also your home environment. Is it organized? Is it managed? I'm not talking like clean. Trust me. If I turn this camera around, y'all saw like my kids' toys and a motorcycle and some bikes. Y'all be like, but for me, it's organized, and it doesn't have my heart like racing when I walk into the house. So I'm not getting that stress. See how they're related? And then the last one, so we've already talked about physical, so make sure you're counting that one. Financial wellness. That's a huge one. And that I know I don't have to tell you now because you're starting to see the interconnection, how being stressed out about what you're going to be able to afford. And then you see, like, I was talking with this person the other day, and they're like, man, I saw this recipe for a smoothie that I was supposed to make, and man, I can't afford the ingredients, so I guess I'm just not gonna do it. So we started chatting, and I'm like, well, what do you have? Like, let's not break the bank, but there's a lot of people that have that mindset, like, oh, I can't afford to eat healthy. I can't afford to do this, when, you know, they're not looking at the bigger picture about where their money is going, and they really could, you know? One of the bonuses that we get inside my mentor program is called Buck a Meal Boot Camp. And it's probably my favorite thing to put myself through, because I'm the worst at like, I just don't want to eat that for dinner. So I'm going to go buy something else. So there you go. There's number 1. So now that you've heard number 1 and you've heard all of them, I want you to just kind of guess which one of those 8 are probably ones that you need to work on. So let me repeat them. There's physical, social, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, occupational, environmental, and financial. So drop me which one you think you probably could work on. While we move on to number 2. Number 2, you are following someone else's diet. Okay, so I told you I wasn't going to talk about carrots all night, but there is this component. You're following someone else's diet. And I'm guilty of this too. You see something that's worked for somebody else, and yes, it is so hard to choose one, Mary. Absolutely. I hear you. I'm like a little bit in all 8 I need to work on. So you're following someone else's diet. And there are diets that are really good starter diets. Like, for instance, I personally really like Whole30 as a starter diet, because it's getting people to, first of all, like, eat real food. And in fact, inside my MIMO program, I have a registered dietitian that's like the MIMO, which MIMO, by the way, is my one of my online courses that talks about health and wellness and weight loss. There's a workouts only, but the one that's 12 weeks long, that's one where I have a registered dietitian that's actually part of, she helped create the diet portion of the course. And we had an interview together, and she, out of this interview is how I created the diet portion of the course. And she and I were talking, and in this interview, she talks about eating for real. And that's so important. Eating what is real and whole and out there for you. And then once you hit that bump, right? Once you're like, okay, this is working, are you able to really tune in to what is going on in your body? Because I will tell you right now that what works for my body does not work for my husband's body. In fact, even my daughter can eat some things that don't agree with me 100%. But I'm very aware of what inflammation in my body feels like. and how to eat in a way that keeps me from being uncomfortable and bloated and gaining unnecessary weight. When too many people just jump in on the keto or the Whole30, and I mean, nothing's wrong with any of these diets, but they see it and they're trendy and that's where they go. A true diet is really just how you're eating. So are you flexible? And there's actually, times, if you think back, right, to think back to how men lived, and by men I just mean humans, how humans lived before we had all these seasonal things that we could eat whenever we wanted. They spent their winters eating things that could be preserved. There wasn't a lot of available carbohydrates. There was a lot of going long hours without eating. So this whole trend that is intermittent fasting and keto was actually just a winter type diet for humankind. Now, and they would have the harvest and summer and fresh fruit and berries, and their carbohydrate intake would go up. But also along with that, what else happened? They were doing the harvest. They were picking the berries. They were outside more, so they needed more carbohydrates. So you in your own life, without being so super freaky about like seasonal and what all's going on, you can just look at what you're doing every day and say, okay, this is a day of high activity. My body's going to need some glucose. So I might need to eat things that have some carbohydrates in it. Glucose is, sugar. Your body uses glycogen. That's what it breaks down to. And then on days when maybe you don't have as much activity, you can go a little bit longer before you start eating so that your body is doing autophagy or autophagy. I've heard it pronounced both ways, and I'm not even going to pick a camp. But basically when you intermittent fast, like the cells that aren't really helpful are being pruned off or dying off so that your body, it helps your body be like younger longer on the inside, right? So on those days when you're not very active, you can do intermittent fasting. You can eat less carbohydrates because your body's not needing that. So are you flexible enough to be cool, man, right? Be cool, man. It's just a diet. It's just how you eat. So being flexible within your own comfort zone. So like Mary, I know Mary's on here, and Mary, I believe you're vegan, right, Mary? Like that, and that totally works for her. And that is her thing. There's a lot of other reasons, I'm sure, like people have as many reasons under the sun as they have for dieting. But I think if we're all flexible, I know Joanna has actually done a lot of flexible dieting lately. She did Whole30 for a while, then keto, then back to Whole30 because of a plateau. So I think it's really important. Sometimes we get really scared to get out of our comfort zone. So I know both Mary and Joanna in here, I know, have stepped out of their comfort zone and shown people that, what, it might not be comfortable, but it works. And don't be afraid to try something and say it works for me or it doesn't work for me. So just be flexible. Don't follow someone else's diet. So that's number 2. Hopefully I didn't get too on my soapbox about that one, but honestly, I'm going to get on my soapbox about all these. I hope y'all appreciate it. Okay. Whew. So following someone else's diet. Let me know if you've been guilty of that before. Oh, we're not going to use the word guilty. Let me know if you feel like you've fallen prey to that lie before, because I have. I'm telling you, like I said, 20 years. So number 3 kind of goes along with it. Number 3, and this is so many of us, and I'm saying us because I think there's mostly women here. Oh, there's so many of us that you have an all or nothing approach, okay? So there's a saying that I like to tell my clients, my mentees, my students: potholes are not black holes. That means if you have a cookie and you swore up and down you weren't going to eat the cookies, you're able to say, oh man, I tripped. I'm gonna not, maybe even half fits in your mouth. I'm gonna put down the cookie, or I ate the whole cookie. Oh, I tripped. And then you just go back to how you always eat most of the time. You go back to that physical activity. You go back to those places that you know work for you. You don't do this. And I'm gonna see some hands raised. You're gonna have to give me a hand raise if this is you, because it was me for a long time, and there are still days when I battle this demon, you guys. You pick up the cookie, you eat it, and you go, oh well, I'll just start over tomorrow. Then you eat the rest of the cookies. Then you go ahead and eat that chocolate cake, because if you leave it in the fridge, then well, tomorrow it's just going to be in there to tempt me, so I may as well eat it. And while I'm here, I'm going to eat that mac and cheese that my daughter had left over from lunch because it just looks so good. And that, has anyone, I know there's got to be someone else who has done something like that before, because it's this mindset that we put ourselves in. And even worse is if it's like a Friday and you say, I'll start on, what do we say? I'll start on, I know somebody knows. Somebody knows, I'm not even gonna say it. Who's gonna be the first one to fill in the blank? That's okay, I'm gonna start over on cheesy rice. Oh, cheesy rice, that would be a tempter. Cheesy rice, yes. Regina, Monday. I'll start over on Monday. And I'm cringing because I want to go back to myself about 5-6 years ago, not that long ago, y'all, and be like, look, girl, you don't need to do this whole up and down yo-yo dieting thing. Just be real. I'm an 80% girl. If I can eat 80% how I want to eat, I'm doing good, right? I'm doing good. And that if I slip up, or if I just decide today I'm eating a donut, I'm not eating 20, I'm not gonna have a donut tomorrow, but that's just how I like to live my life. So there you go. So this is how I look at behavior change, because at the end of the day, the all or nothing approach has a lot to do with how we look at behavior change. We think we have to be strict, and that a lot of it comes from our culture. And I'm sure some of you who have experienced other cultures will agree with this. We are very totalitarian about our mindset with things like behavior change, and shifts and transformation in general. It's a dark hole for me, though. I have to keep certain things 100% out. But you know that. So that, Joanna says she has to keep certain things 100% out of my life. But you know that. And you're able to make that definition because you know what's going to happen to your mindset. And y'all, honestly, awareness, if I could just put an umbrella over all of this, it would be your mindset, your awareness of your mindset. It's actually called metacognition, thinking about what you're thinking about, right? But that just sounds like super, super cuckoo, and anybody that just logged on is going to be out of here. But if you could put, if you are able to say that even, that is huge. But here's how I teach behavior change. Y'all, I'm giving away so much in this. I can't even believe. Y'all, I hope you're writing this down because this is some of my best stuff. This is my best stuff. So I have looked at behavior change for a really long time. Whenever I was offered the opportunity to get a minor, or when I got my master's degree, I had to study in an outside area, I always chose psychology because I was super interested in behavior change. And obviously it has a lot to do with fitness. And so whenever I'd go to different conferences and things, I would go and I'd learn about behavior change. Y'all, this is so dorky. Even at South by Southwest Interactive, which my work sent me to because I was doing all their social media and their marketing stuff, which that's a whole nother hat I wear. I was doing all that for them. They sent me to South by Southwest Interactive. If you don't know what it is, go look it up. It's huge. It's in Austin every year. I found a professor from Stanford named BJ Fogg who was teaching about behavior change. I just love it. But I had a problem with it because every single thing that I ran into seemed like it worked for some people, but it didn't work for the people that I I was attracting as like my clientele and my friends, which were mainly like really busy women. And at that point I didn't even have a child, but when I did have a child, like it really opened up a couple other things, just because, not because I had a child, like you could have a puppy and this would be the thing. All of a sudden your life gets about something bigger than just you. And that could be a spouse, a puppy, a niece, a nephew. It could be a lot of different things. So here is how I look at behavior change. In my mind and in my clients' lives, behavior change takes on 4 roles. 4 things have to happen in order for there to be behavior change. And they're multiplied. So it is, number 1 is routines. So if you're writing all this down, you're gonna write them in a column because it's gonna make sense in a second. So routines is number 1. You've got to be able to nail down some really solid routines. If nothing else, you need your morning and your evening routine nailed down, because that triggers your mind to start thinking about doing things in the way that you always do them. Okay, so you've got to have some routines. Otherwise, it's the concept behind meal prep. That's super popular. It's, this crazy thing. Y'all, it's just a routine because it keeps you from straying and it keeps you following the path that you've told yourself you want to follow, getting the behavior that you want to get. So routines, times. The second one is affirmations. And if you have not been following me for a while, or if you've never been coached by me, or if you're not part of my mentor group, whether it's with me or with someone else that's also in that organization, this might seem, what is the word from Moana? Kooky dooks. This might seem kooky dooks. And it is a little kooky dooks. Affirmations, though, are statements that we make about our future selves out loud to ourselves every single day. And in my course, and when I coach people, they stem directly out of those 8 components of wellness. So it's this simple. If you want to do this for yourself tonight, it is this simple. You pick one of those things. Remember back in number 1 that you thought you were really, really bad at? Let's say it was your emotional wellness. You're like, man, I'm anxious more than I'm not anxious. Everything stresses me out. So then you're saying, okay, fine. What would I like to be like in the future when my behavior change was there? It was where I wanted it to be. Then you just write a sentence like that's already how you are, right? So I would just say, I am stress-free, nothing gives me anxiety, and I'm living a happy life. Something is like way opposite of how you are right now. So if you've never done a course in affirmations, or if you've never learned how to do these big intention statements, this does take a lot of coaching and a lot of learning, but I hope that kind of gives you an idea of how affirmations would work. So routines times affirmations times motivation. Motivation is such a biggie because it is really, really darn hard to externally motivate yourself, right? It is really hard to just be motivated. Just be motivated. Anybody else, I don't get it. I can't just be motivated. So I have a very, very, very particular plan that I put people on to create motivation, because I firmly believe we have to create motivation for ourselves. In fact, was about 6 years ago, I gave a whole talk to all of, it was the Texas Association of Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, TAFERD, try to say that one. I gave a talk about creating meaningful motivation, and how, like, as teachers, that's our responsibility to create it. So for you, like, you have to understand motivation does not just exist and you have to find it. You have to create it. And how I suggest, and what has worked for me and what has worked for many people to create motivation, is have some kind of personal development plan in place at all times. Maybe it's a book that you're listening to. Maybe it's a podcast that you plug into. For me, I plug into Mom Mastery University. That's my personal development. Like, I just like it because I can go in there and I don't have to, like, scroll around. I just go in there and I pick a coaching, or I enroll in a 90-day challenge, and there's something for me every day. So there's always ways to plug into personal development that is right there at my fingertips. So that is what I suggest for motivation, is figure out some kind of personal development. And if you want podcast recommendations, if you want book recommendations, y'all, all you have to do is message me. I will, like, vomit them out on you because I love them and I'm super passionate about them. And if you are a mom and you're watching, I highly recommend the newer podcast, That Mom Show. I highly recommend that one. That's a good one. And yeah. Okay, so routines times affirmations times motivation times a plan. A plan. You have got to have a plan for behavior change, because I have so many people that come to me with these huge dreams, which I love. Oh, I just eat it up when people come to me with these huge dreams. But they have no idea how to get from up here to manifestation, right? And so for a plan, when you get a plan, you need a guide, you need a coach, you need a mentor. And I know you're like, okay, I'm getting sick of you talking about mentors and guides. But if you've never experienced, so I want somebody to tell me if you've experienced a mentor in your life. And this might not be someone that has an official title, like I had to go through a program to get certified. But this does not have to be someone who's certified. This might just be someone who taught you something that you will never forget. You need a coach and a mentor. And trust me, I spent because I was an athlete I was an athlete all the way through grad school. I was in some kind of sport. And yeah, I did. I went back to grad school and they conned me into rowing for A&M. Like, I was in grad school. I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning to row. I'm insane. But you can understand why I was really resistant to getting a coach and getting a mentor. Super resistant to that, because I had been coached most of my life. But when I finally figured out that a coach was more than just someone who, like, yells at you about your, like, physical performance, I had, a huge, overwhelming life change. Joanna's mentoring me now. Absolutely. Sherry, isn't it? It's really, really awesome. And that's so cool that your mentor is on with you, because what does that say? Like, they are setting an example. That's awesome. So here, remember how I told you to make these multiplied by? Because I also believe this. You don't have to nail all 4 of them at all times. Because if we can get one down really well, it can make up for some slack in another area. Don't you like someone to tell you, like, it's okay, you can slack a little bit, right? So remember that all or nothing approach? It is so bogus. It's so bogus. Oh, so Hannah, if y'all know Hannah Keeley, she's my coach. She always says, sloppy success beats perfect failure. It is so true. So it's got a multiplier, because you don't have, let's say you forgot to do your routines. That is not going to or forgot your affirmations. That's not going to throw you off of, completing the behavior change for the day, but you've got to hit one of them. So it's a really, really cool thing. So, and if you forget, it's the RAMP method, RAMP, routines, affirmations, motivation, and plan. And I will tell you that this behavior change strategy absolutely works. Absolutely works. Which one of those makes you the most excited? Which one? Like for me, honestly, when I learned what affirmations were and how to do them, those made me the most excited because they were new. I love motivation. That one makes me excited as a coach because it's the one that I know makes the biggest difference for people. But affirmations made me super excited when I first started going through that method myself, because y'all, I tested my online course, like, oh, this is like truth time. I tested my online course on me first when I was going through, like, I was like doing the whole postpartum, trying to figure out how to work out thing, tested on me first. Then I spent an entire year testing it on other people. And so I'm like, I don't enter things lightly. So just know, if you ever like get into one of my online courses, y'all, it's been tested. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so last one, guys, last one. You are stuck in an action cycle. What do I mean by that? You are stuck in an action cycle. So most people do not understand true behavior change, so they keep looking for the next thing to do. They keep looking for the next thing to do. Is that you? And now don't take this the wrong way, because remember when I said earlier, like, I'm always enrolled in a course, I'm always enrolled in those kinds of things. They're all like interrelated, and they are my M. They are my motivation. They are my personal development. What I'm not doing is changing courses all the time. And you can see this in the diet thing that we were talking about, like, oh, keto's cool, keto. Oh, Whole30, Whole30. Oh, whatever, people like, and I know I'm picking on those two, but they're just like the popular ones right now. So people just like bouncing from action cycle because they're addicted to action. They're addicted to action, and no one has ever told them that there are certain steps to behavior change that you can't mess with or it doesn't work. It's so true. It's so true. Sounds a little ADD. Yeah, it does, right? I love it. Sounds ADD. That's so me. Isn't that funny? Okay. But it is, y'all, and I get it, because that is what people want you to do. They want you to be stuck in an action cycle, because if you're stuck in an action cycle, then you're always going to be, trying the next greatest, newest thing. And they're constantly trying to come up with it. That's why, and like, you're not going to go there yet, but when you pay for my MIMO program, if you pay for the MIMO or you pay for the 12-week course, you have lifetime access, because I believe that you can keep going through it your whole, like, for as long as you want. And you're going to keep finding out new things about yourself, and you're going to keep getting access to good new stuff that is not different. So let me tell you just a little bit about the science of behavior change so that you understand why being stuck in an action cycle is not a good idea. So if you've heard me talk about stages of behavior change before, bear with me. But these stages of behavior change were first discovered or researched when, I think it's funny when people say discovered, and I'm like, okay, they've been there forever. They were researched, they were looked at, and they were written down, and someone got them published. Let's call it for what it is. So they first got looked at when they were studying people who were trying to quit smoking. So they found out cigarettes were bad for you, but the world was Mad Men at that time, and everyone was chain smoking. And so well, crap, we've ruined everyone. So let's figure out how to change this. And they were looking, and here's the stages that you had to go through in order to quit smoking. So quitting smoking, that's a really big addiction. And if we can make people quit it by this method, it can be applied to things like weight loss, food addiction, right? If that's your addiction. So the first stage of behavior change is pre-contemplation. Now that may have been where you were before you pressed play on this webinar, or you logged in live. You weren't even thinking about any of this stuff. So the second step then is contemplation. So basically you go from not having any information to having information and having to decide whether or not to put it to use. So pre-contemplation to contemplation. And that's kind of where you are right now. You're looking at these four things. You're like, okay, here's the things that I know I'm gonna have to change, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. So then the next stage is preparation. The very next stage is preparation. So then for our example, you would go back and look at what you wanna change and come up with that plan. Find a coach maybe, whatever you're gonna do to sign up, to figure out I can't talk, I've been saying too many words, to figure out how you're going to prepare for this. Then the second, or the fourth step is action. So this is an action phase. This is where you're actually working on either gaining the behavior change or quitting the negative behavior. It's in the action phase. Then you have a maintenance phase. And that one's kind of that like lifelong phase where you're not back and forth to action, you're staying in maintenance. And in fact, if you relapse, you have to go back through the preparatory stage. You can't just jump back into action. And really, like, while maintenance is probably longer, preparation can be just about as long as the action stage. And in the 12-week course I've been talking about, that mind into motion method, when I was putting that together, or MIMO, I knew that I wanted all three of these phases in my program. The action is where I usually stop. Mary, you're not alone. The action is where most people stop. And then some people do, they go back to preparation. And all of these stages are equally hard. They are equally hard. So action is just your place that needs the most effort. So I put the same exact amount of time into preparation as I did action, as I did maintenance. Because I think, and honestly, a lot of people too, they can get past the action hump. I think of that show Biggest Loser a lot here because they can survive the action. But it's that maintenance part that gets a little gritty, that gets to the point where they don't know what to do. So for example, when I teach maintenance, I spend a whole week on learning about our perception of stress and how that's affecting our ability to maintain. A whole week on how we're implementing self-care and how that affects our ability to maintain. A whole week on seeking stillness, learning how to be quiet, have quiet time, how to meditate. And then the fourth week is what do you do when you relapse? Like, I teach you this stuff. So many people are like, look, you did it. Yay, send me your before and after, and then I'm going to show them to all my clients. I am not about that. In fact, and I have shared before and afters before. I absolutely have. But I do not do that whole, like, I feel like before and afters can sometimes be body shaming. I am not a huge fan of them. I think when we're talking about more than just the body, we can accompany it with a before and after, but I don't think that needs to be our focus because what we're seeing is the end of action. What we're typically not seeing is maintenance. Like, I want to see your after and your ever after. I want to see those two pictures. Never gotten to that point. Oh, it's frustrating, right? It's really frustrating to not be coached in a way that makes sense. And I was guilty of that for a really long time. I was coaching people in a way that didn't make sense because someone had taught me that being in that action cycle is a good thing. We don't want to slow down and be told, okay, we can maintain. Guess what? Now you're going to take care of yourself. Now you're going to meditate a little bit. And you're like, meditate? Trust me, it all works out. And I don't have time to go through the whole program tonight, but it all works. You mean like I might be perceiving my stress oddly? We're never told, by the way, you might relapse. You might walk into the pantry and scarf down that box of Little Debbie's that was hiding in there. Right? So tell me this, now that we're through these four, now that you know all this, what are you going to do differently? Or what are you wanting right now? Like, what are you wanting right now? Because I want to take a little bit, Oh, girl, there were jelly beans in that I didn't know were in there. So my mother-in-law sent like an Easter basket of candy, and I thought we'd kind of like figured it all out. There were some jelly beans hiding in my pantry too. Really good orange jelly beans. Not that I like had half the bag. 80%, y'all, 80%. Like I didn't eat jelly beans yesterday. So I just kind of like to know what you're doing and how you're going to do it. And then I want to take a minute to tell you about my 12-week program. I really do. Because it's a labor of love, and I want to tell you about it. I want to tell you why I developed it. I want to tell you how to get access to it. And I promise it's not going to take too long. We're going to wrap this up. If you are not wanting to hang out for it, I'm not offended, but I would love it if you'd stay. Remember, at the end of this, I'm going to tell you about that wellness bundle that I referred to up in the description. And then I'm also going to give you some information how we're going to deal with the webinar replay so that you can make sure that you are giving anybody else this information that wants it. So let me tell you about the program I developed. So it's a three phase, 4 weeks each phase program called the Mind into Motion Method, because as you probably have learned by now, I'm all about listening to your mental state and letting that help you stay the course in behavior change, not action, behavior change. So the very base program, the thing that I told you that I put myself through, right? The very base program that I did a test group with and I created, it has 12 different modules. So every week you have a module, there's a video, there's notes, there's a written lesson, there's like a journal prompt, there's all this stuff. And each week also has an accompanying on-demand workout that I just refilmed all 12 workouts. I kept the old workouts in there, even though I don't love the quality. But if you want another workout, I'm not going to take them away from you. So actually you get 24 workouts. And these workouts are not flipping tires and jumping rope. They are designed for all fitness levels. And if you've been through my workout, you can let me know if you think that they really are. They have chair options for everything. And so if you like to do jumping jacks and you like to do all that stuff, go for it. You can actually do that in these workouts. But if you are in a place where you need to be in a chair because impact is so painful, or standing even, I have had clients who have gone through this who, when they first started working out with me, standing was painful. And there are a lot of coaches out there who would have been just lost. First of all, these people wouldn't go to the gym. Who likes jumping jacks? I don't know. There's got to be someone, but they're not my friend, and I'm okay with that. I do jumping jacks on the video, but that doesn't mean I like them, y'all. But there's a lot of people who, like coaches, that would not know what to do with someone who walked in the gym and was like, I can't stand. And they probably wouldn't go in the gym anyway. So when I started creating these, I was like, you know what? I want to reach that person who is thinking right now, like, I cannot work out. And I remember what it was like to be like a fitness professional, to have a baby, to go through that like random 6 weeks of not being able to do anything, and then trying to move and realize, like, what pelvic floor? I don't have that anymore. Like all these changes that, they're better now. I'm not saying like that was like that forever, but I just remember like all these things that were happening to my body. I'm like, what the? But I knew I was still capable of high intensity, right? Like I knew I could still get breathless, but I was like, there's no way I'm gonna do, a jumping jack or like even go to a kickboxing class. Like I don't know what is my boob gonna pop out of my nursing bra? Like, I don't know. And I'm sorry if this is too much for you. I'm sorry, but I think I'm hilarious when I talk like this. So get ready. It's my stand-up routine. But no, like really, like what's gonna fall out of where? Like, I just don't know. So I needed something that I could do. And so I started myself doing chair stuff. And then I got really excited because I realized that you can get high intensity in a chair. Like, it was a game changer. And also, while we're talking about this, you can actually, just because I had a lot of people who didn't want to go through my whole program, they're like, girl, just give me the workouts because I've worked out with you and I know, and I don't want to go through the whole thing. I'm not ready for it yet. Maybe I will be one day. So I've actually opened up a course that is just MIMO workouts. It comes with a 4-week calendar. It comes with another calendar where you kind of like fill in the blanks once you've made it through the 4 weeks so that you can keep doing it. Remember, I'm all about maintenance. Even in my programs where I don't teach maintenance, I'm all about maintenance. So that's its own program. And that is actually opened up Monday. So it is wide open and waiting for people to enroll. There are people already enrolled, but there's always room for more. But as far as the base program, so you're getting the 12 modules, you're getting the 12 workouts with me. You get access to the MIMO community. So it's a private group on Facebook, and all you have to do is request access. There's links in there, and it's where we talk about all the things. You can ask questions directly to me. It's basically like getting access to me because I wanted you to still have that kind of one-on-one coaching feeling and opportunity. I wanted a place where I could go live and give updates. So you get access to that. So you do have more of a direct access to me that is fairly private. It's not just putting something on my Facebook page. And all of that, if you were to like hire me to do that for you, you would be paying me over $5,000 because there's so much that you get. And by the way, when you pay once, you have, like I said, you have access for the lifetime of the course. So that's just the base program that you get with the 12 weeks. You get all of that. And then you get all these bonuses. So I have a whole workout bonus section. And then I have, every month, this is one of my favorite things, y'all. Every month I go live in our Facebook group early in the morning. It's like 5:30 my time. So my California people and some of my international people, sometimes my international people make it, but it'll be like afternoon. But usually my Central and East Coast people, which is actually I have a lot in California too, but there, quite a bit of us are in Central and East Coast. So you can actually work out with me, like live in real time. I do that once a month here on Facebook in our MIMO group. And that is like my heart because y'all know I said I like group exercise. It's really hard for me to film all the workout videos because it's like me and a camera. And it's just like not super real to me. I miss people, like I really miss people. So it's really fun when I get to do the live workouts. So there is basically your workout library, and I put them up, like I save them and I put them up on YouTube. So you always have access to these workouts at any time. They're all unlisted on YouTube, so you can't like go in and find them, but you can access them in the group. I give you the link. So that is an ever-growing library, and I tried to put a price tag on it. I think back in the day it was like $500 when I calculated it, but we have so many more workouts now. So, this program, the value of this program, I'm going to just, nobody watching me. Oh, you're saying, I'm sorry. I just totally busted out in a song, and that was the wrong song. It's somebody watching me. Okay, somebody's watching me. Y'all, I need to I'm starting to lose my mind. You're witnessing it. Okay. So that's what you get. And then there's also, oh my gosh, there's so many bonuses, and I wrote them down. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to read all these bonuses. But yes, I do, because I want you to know, we have a lot of workshops that are just like free bonuses. There's one with the registered dietitian. Every time I click a heart emoji, but I like laughing emojis. They make me think I'm funny. So you're good. So one of the workshops is with the registered dietitian that I recommend with this course for people that have like special needs or special dietary restrictions. She's really, really awesome. Her name's Melissa. So she has a workshop in there. There's a workshop that I do called Foods for Fuel, and it talks a little bit more about those alternating fuel sources that we talked about before when we're not making someone else's diet ours. How do you measure up? We can talk about assessments for like physical assessments that will tell you where you are compared to standards and where you really should be, like what's normal, what's not normal. We go into cholesterol, we go into blood pressure, we go into BMI versus body fat. There's a whole thing. I have a more in-depth stages of behavior change workshop that I just talked about, those stages. And then there's also a workshop for the wellness pie, which is a very unique wellness assessment that we do along those 8 components that I talked about. And then there's all these other things. There's like mantra cards, there's a routine tracker, there's blank calendar pages, there's a cover page, like if you're gonna make a notebook out of this stuff. There's interviews. I have a video cast that I do called MIMO chat. So I've interviewed a lot of people in there that have brought different aspects of the whole wellness continuum. There's a playlist that I made for when I get super annoying and you want to turn the volume off and do the workout with just music. Oh, there's so much. There's the making of MIMO, which is if you're really into research. I threw a ton of the research documents that I used when I was creating MIMO into that. I don't even know. There's so much. So at the end of the day, I would try to calculate how much this all was worth. And I stopped calculating at $9,000. So that's when I stopped calculating because I was like, I'm just done. Like if this thing is worth $10,000, sure, well, why not? $10,000. We probably put enough workouts in there at this point. But it's worth over $9,000. That is the value. But that is absolutely not what I'm charging you because I'm not even going to charge you like the base program cost when I said about $5,000 because I believe so firmly in this, but I also believe so firmly in it that I will never give away for free this program. And like some of you are like, well, that's kind of mean. Here's why. If you don't have something in the game, you're never going to stick to it. You just aren't. That is also something I've learned from behavior change. We don't do free. Like I don't do free. And I mean, I do these free webinars and stuff because I love giving out my like best information to people that I know it will affect their life. But like we don't actually participate in free. If you've ever thought about that. Like I know we hear like I don't do free all the time, but like no, you don't actually do anything when you get it for free. So here's the deal. You have 2 options on enrollment. There is just the flat enrollment, which is, I forgot to tell you about a really cool bonus that I did this round. I'll tell you about it right now. So there's just the flat enrollment fee that is $347 before any discounts. I'm going to be telling you how to get a discount even if you do the flat enrollment fee. $347. And with that fee, you're also getting remember I told you about this personal development thing that I firmly believe in for motivation. So I'm giving you all these links that I like, and this is like just a completely free bonus, giving you these links for personal development along the way. So if you just do the flat, all I want is the 12 weeks, it's $347. And then with that, like you can go in and you pick from the personal development that is just access to all like a podcast or whatever. I have a YouTube video, whatever I really liked for that. Now there's another way to enroll, and that is to get into my mentor group, like become a personal mentor of mine, mentee of mine, where I'm your mentor. And if you do that, then you get $200 off the program. Here's my reason. When you become one of my mentees, when you enroll in my mentor program, which is through Mom Mastery University, right? When you enroll in that, you are already paying for personal development. So I'm giving you a bigger kickback because you're paying for your access to personal development. And when you go in, you'll see my MMU picks, and it will tell you exactly what courses to search and listen to in Mom Mastery University. So that is huge. That is very, very huge. So that's it. That's your jam. Now, for those of you that are like ready to enroll and are waiting for the discount, let me tell you right now that the discount code is MIMO Mama, and I'm going to type that in right now. And it is for 20% off of either the workout only program. I can't talk and write apparently. The workout only program, or 20% off of the 12-week whole program. So you can get your, 20, oh my gosh, stop giving me 20% off of either of those programs using that code. And if you go up to the description, it tells you, it gives you the links. Now, if you're watching the replay on my website, if you just look right down below the video, you will see the links to go directly into those, either the workouts or the full MIMO program, and you can enter the discount code on checkout and get it right away. So I do want to remind you guys that when you're considering, like, I know the money thing always gets really awkward and uncomfortable. I don't actually get uncomfortable with it anymore because, hello, when you're an entrepreneur, you cannot be uncomfortable talking about money. But what I've learned is that there's a huge difference in the way that people spend their money. Like, there are a lot of people who view themselves as like not having enough money, and they are super willing to spend their money on liabilities. And by that, I mean like this stuff. Like, they're gonna buy this ball that's gonna give them abs. They're gonna buy these gliders that are gonna give them nice hamstrings. I also personal train, so don't judge me on having all this stuff. They're gonna buy bands that are gonna tone their arms. They're gonna buy weights. They're gonna buy all these things, and they're not going to invest their money in something that is going to actually empower them to make the change. So really consider when you are spending your money. Remember, we talked about financial wellness. Really consider, like, are you going to invest in a program that's going to teach you how to make a lasting change? Or are you going to take that same amount of money and just slowly over time dump it into liabilities that are just things that are going to either collect dust or not get used? Okay? And remember, you guys, that this money replenishes. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have had a certain amount of money that I've spent for some reason or another. I've had to drop it, and at the moment it felt like this huge, like, earth-shattering amount of money that I've either invested in something for myself or I've had to pay out for whatever reason. I can't tell you how many times, like, I've had to put money into something and it was a big chunk of money and I never really noticed it was gone. Because we tend to, like, live up to the money that we have, and money does replenish. What does not replenish is your time, right? You can't say, okay, well, I'll start it in a year. Like, what is going to happen? Like, if you are in a place right now of, like, kind of bad health, what's going to happen to your body in that year that you can't get back? And I know you're like, wow, super morbid, awesome, way to end it on a high note. But it's so true. Like, if you get access now and you start feeling good, you're moving more, you're moving freely, you're moving better, you're not feeling, hi bug, you're not feeling so bad, then there's not really a reason not to invest. So I want to just do one more thing on this money front that I haven't shared yet, because this is like my thing that I hold back to the last minute. I really want to tell you, I have a really shocking statistic for you and I have to look down at my notes for this part. That's why I keep looking over here. That if you add up, money spent eating out of the home, like eating out, not on groceries that you're going to bring home, make a healthy meal. If you add up the average money spent eating out of home, the average money spent on gym memberships, and the average amount of money spent on the treatment of preventable chronic illness. We're talking diseases associated with not being active. They're called hypokinetic diseases. If you add up those expenses, I want to see if someone can guess. Actually, no, I'm just going to tell you. The average American spends $380 $196 a month. Just on those 3 things. So when you ask me why I priced my course the way I did, because I want to save you money, right? Because if I could have easily priced it at $5,000 based on that staggering number, because you'll be able to save somewhere in that vicinity. But that's huge, y'all. That's huge. Which I whenever I read that, I'm like, did I do that right? Now I just go like look back up the numbers again. I'm like, yeah, I did it right. So there you go. There is your opportunity, and you don't have to take it today. In fact, no matter what, I want you to keep learning. So I have an absolutely free wellness pack for you. If you're on Facebook right now with me live, then you can check out the description, the link. If you are on my replay, there's a button right here on the page that says get your free wellness pack. Here's what you get in the wellness pack. So you get 4 free workouts. So those workouts I was telling you about, you get 4 of them free. They come from my like original test group. They're like me in my bedroom, and you're working out with me. It's a fun, intimate little workout. So 4 free workouts. You get a free planner page. You also get, and y'all, this is a biggie because I have only given this away free one time and a lot came with it. You also get my free recipe ebook, which has menus for like a week of fat burning, which would be keto, a meat-free week. I believe there might be like, I don't think we called it completely vegan, but there's absolutely ways you can make it vegan. So you get, and that alone, if you were to go to my website and buy it, you would pay at least $17 for it. So 4 free workouts, a planner page, a recipe ebook, and then you also get my meditation webinar, because I just believe so firmly in stillness and meditation, and I believe in it because I'm really terrible at it. That's why I believe in it. So I want you guys to help yourself to that. Please don't forget to go in and get it. And yes, and Victoria, so the cool thing about this recipe book too, I just want to like brag. Some of the people who are like in my very first test group, they actually submitted the recipes that they used when they were doing the action phase, the diet phase, the looking and listening for like inflammation in the body. They submitted their recipes. So they're all very diverse for that reason. Some people like plenty of cheese in their recipes because it doesn't bother them at all. Other people they like dairy free, and they're all labeled so you'll know dairy free, vegan, vegetarian. I think I call it plant-based instead of vegan or vegetarian because there's a variety. But there you go, guys. Like, I want you to take advantage of that. So get that. Please go ahead and feel free to share this webinar. Like I said, I might take it down in about 24 hours, but before I even take it down, I'm going to have a link up to where I have the replay available. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to make sure that you get into either MIMO the workouts or MIMO the 12-week course, because it is absolutely life-changing, earth-shattering, the most amazing thing that I think I've ever done. And I just love working with people. So I can't wait to see you guys inside of there. Thank you so much for your time tonight, especially those of you that turned out live. I love you all. You're amazing.